So-called city council meeting for the city of Lake City. If everyone will stand for the pledge of allegiance or remain standing for the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We ask for your guidance in our deliberations and what we do in the best interest of our community. We ask that you look over our community and continue to get us through this epidemic and look after our first responders. And in your name we pray. Amen. Doc, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hill.
Here.
Mr. Jefferson.
Here.
Mr. Sampson.
Here.
Mayor Witt.
Here.
Mr. Coberline.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Chief Gilmore.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lake City Council has opened its public meeting since 1968. The city code has prohibited any person from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or becoming vultures while addressing the city council. Yelling and making audible comments from the audience constitutes boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There's only one approved manner of addressing the city council, and that's to be recognized and speak from the podium. We have approval of the agenda.
So moved, Mayor. Second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda is published. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is persons wishing to address council. Ken Boucher.
Ken Boucher, 230 Southeast Brown Street, Lake City, Florida. I guess I ought to add 814901 to that. I hope that when you guys do these re-interviews and you get a little more serious, this is a job application, and you hadn't even asked these people, you hadn't even told them your problem. They don't, the problems that you're dealing with, none of that came out on the floor. Nobody mentioned I was second most dangerous city to live in Florida. Look it up on the internet. That's what they're saying about us. You know, got people stabbing my dog in the front yard that wind up in jail for chopping somebody with a machete. All that could have been prevented. Could have all been prevented. I know I've been down here showing out, trying to get a feel for this thing. You know, what each you're doing. I see a bunch of people divided up. Got these little groups. You part of this gang, you part of that gang. We don't run gangs. You know, I think the problems ought to be addressed, and the people that are applying for the job ought to be asked how they can solve those problems. Y'all just sit there quiet. It's like, and I've been watching. That's what you do every meeting. You sit there quiet. You never even ask a question back. You know, isn't that what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to find out what's really happening, pull the story out of the person that's trying to tell it, see if there's a solution. Just had to put my 2 cents in. This is my side of the bench over here.
Mr. Boucher, do you have a story you want to tell us? What you got less than a minute.
Yeah, what story do you want to hear, sir?
Whatever one you want to tell. What you got less than a minute.
Well, I'm telling this story tonight about the job interview and how I thought that, man, they didn't even ask the questions to get opinions that they were looking for, to see what they had to work with. They didn't even get into that. None of that was on the member. I had one of those things. I told you what I could do. But my side of the bench is over here. So that's the story I'm here to tell tonight. You know, it's time to buckle down and start this division thing. Well, you can't be on a different, all y'all want this is a team. It's a team. Put the problems on the table. Ask your people, you know, what they can bring. I've talked to a few of them. I think, I don't know, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Sylvester Bourne,
Let me last, man.
Walter Douglas,
Council. Appreciate seeing y'all and just wanted to say that came up to speak on behalf of a friend of mine, a man of integrity. Ricky Jernigan has mentored me in law enforcement for the last 20 years. He's an honest and man of integrity. I realize I'm a county resident, so it ain't my monkey and it ain't my circus, but I still think that someone that's brave enough to run for office and come in second place, and you have another person who leaves the council who also ran and won, it would just make sense to me to put the second place gentleman, if it's on an interim basis, in, because the people have spoken already. You know, people are so used to our politics now being a joke, being rigged. I don't know all the details of the secret ballots, but clearly he wasn't part of the Beer and Wings Club. But he's the best man, I think, for the job, and I wanted to speak on his behalf. Thank you.
thank you. Cam Estrin,
Okay, I spoke the last time on behalf of DECO. What you might not have understood, and I agree with the gentleman that just spoke about asking questions, because there's some real problems. I don't live in the city either, but I volunteer a lot in the city. And there are a lot of problems. You didn't ask them, you asked them questions about, you know, what they're involved in. That's important. How much education, you know, what they do. That's wonderful. What I think is important is, have you been to these meetings? Because I know some of them haven't. I've been to quite a few of them, and I know that some of these have not. And that's very important. You need to, if you want to run, if you want to sit there, then you need to be at these meetings. You need to know what's going on. It's not all about, you know, being a finance person, okay? That's great. That's wonderful. But it's also about knowing the city. We got some people that are wanting lights and stuff down the street. You need to know what's going on. I think you need a female, and I'm gonna come right on out and say it. I think we need a female on the board. Yes. And whichever one gets it, that's fine. But I think we do. I think there's too many men. I think we need to have a woman's point of view. I know that she comes to the meetings. I know that Bean knows the charter. I know that she has come up here and aggravated the crap out of you guys. But she knows what she's talking about. And she loves this city. She loves this county. Okay? And, you know, when I first met Bea, she was all about getting involved, helping to do better. Besides being involved with the kids, which to me, because I'm going to tell you, I grew up, I mean, I wasn't born and raised here. I've lived here 45 years. I went to school here, graduated here, raised my kids here, raised my grandkids here, and my great-grandson. And I'm going to tell you right now that I stand behind her. She's all about the kids. She volunteers at all the schools. You go to the schools now and you ask those principals if they know who she is, they do. And that's important. That's important to people with families, is what I think. I think that's what needs to be right there.
thank you. Annie Hopkins, she here? There she's running late. Next is Ricky Jernigan. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Everybody see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Ricky Jernigan. I live at 1723 Southwest Leslie Glenn, Lake City, Florida, of course, 32025. Again, I come to you in good faith. I just got a couple of questions to ask the councilman, and I appreciate it if I get an answer back. My first question is, have any of you served in the military that would give your life for your country, for freedom? Any of you? Mr. Jefferson?
I have not.
Todd? Mayor? Okay, Hill?
No.
Okay. That's a very important issue. It's okay to go out and get a degree, but when you're willing to give your life for your country, did I serve in the military? Of course I did. I was willing to give my life up. But when you talk about a financial background, you talk about this, you talk about that, let's think about this. Now, I'm still in law enforcement. I'm still in that high-risk stage of 38 and a half years of working. And I can't even be considered for city council. Oh my, that is very, very strange to me. That's strange. My next question, have any of you worked in law enforcement? Mr. Hill, a correctional officer,
Yes, I have.
mayor?
Aye.
What about you, Mr. Sam?
No.
What about you?
No.
Oh my God. And here I am, the runner-up. I've been in law enforcement, basically all my life. When I put on that uniform, I wear it proudly. And if I take that seat over there, I'm gonna do the job, I'm gonna do it proudly. And I want y'all to keep in mind, I said alone. I can't pick my friend, I can pick my friends, but I cannot pick my kins. I want you to understand that, okay? I run alone. Am I related to everybody in Lake City? Just about. Just about, I'm related to everybody. But I run alone. I want you guys to understand that. I'm my own man. I'm 60 years old. 60. I want you to understand that. I've been here all my life, with the exception of the 3 years I was in the military. First grade, kindergarten, all the way up. And I can't be considered for a city council? I don't understand that. I looked at your evaluations, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mayor gives me a 1. I totally understand. He represented me in a case. I didn't get a 1 then. I probably paid out $1,000, but it wasn't a 1. Okay. And again, I get it. I get everybody. I get it. It's a job. When I take a job, I take that job very, very seriously. Okay. And listen, it ain't about what you guys want. I understand, Mr. Sampson. It's trouble. It's troubling because of the he didn't want to do this procedure. He understood it. It's a hard task. I totally get it. However, it's not what you want, Mr. Sampson. It's not what you want, Mr. Hill, Mayor, or Mr. Jefferson. It's what the people want. I want you to look at that thing I gave you. It tells you exactly how many votes that I lost by. If you look at it carefully, it says Mr. Green, he had 292. I had 189. The way you break this down is for every one person, for every one person, there's 29 people that's out there. It's only 4 of you guys. If you multiply 29 times 4, I still supersede that number. So I want y'all to think about what you're doing, who you select. I don't have a problem with that. I love everybody in this room. I don't have a hatred bone in my body. My mom and dad would turn over in their grave if they found out that I didn't like somebody. Okay? So I want y'all guys to really, really think about what we got going on here. Okay? Mr. Sampson, please think about it. Mr. Jefferson, please think about it. Mr. Hill, please. Mayor, please think about it, okay? Hey, God bless you guys, man. But think about the questions that I asked you guys.
All right,
Take care. God bless you.
Mr. Warren.
Mayor Whitting, Council Spencer Warren, 930 Northeast Oconee. I can say great things about every candidate. I don't always agree with everybody that stuck their name in the hat. I can say great things about Ricky. Ricky just got my son a job at RNC. He's my cousin. He's great people. He's right. He's a man of integrity. He loves people. He's going to do the right thing. Do I know Stephen Douglas? No, I'm good with some of his family, but I think that Stephen Douglas is a great, great business guy. You can't take some metal and put it in the building and have people to come and store their stuff in and make good money. He's a great capitalist. I love capitalists. And so I think he's a phenomenal business guy. All right, what I think about Be Faithful? I think Be Faithful put her money where her mouth was at. She did a lot of things that other people didn't do. People talk the talk, they don't walk the walk. She got out there and ran and tried to convince the community that she wanted to represent them. Whether she'll do a good job or bad job, I don't know. Abby, same thing. She's known in the community. She jumped out there and did her thing. I'm not here to promote any particular candidate per se. I think that rests with you guys. What I am frustrated about is the process. And anything I've ever done that I was conflicted on, I've always consulted legal advice from my lawyers. And I've seen the city attorney give us legal advice as I sat here. And I think that the wisest thing to do to keep us from being in lawsuits, I don't believe that the city really has the money that most people think they got. I think that at some point y'all gonna have to take out another loan. But that's not here or there. It's not wise to put yourself in the middle of litigation, and you don't have to when attorneys have already conceded. If you just redo the process and maybe think of some more questions, put a strict or a process that you plan on following in place and stick to it, and do a redo, and to keep us from having to go through all this back and forth. I'm not saying that you're going to satisfy everybody, but as long as the process is right and there's nobody to contest the process, and at the end of the day, we come out with the candidate, that's all I care about. I don't care necessarily who the candidate. Yeah, I got people that I want to see in office, but I don't care as long as the process is right. I have a problem with the way the process was handled and the fact that this council is in gridlock and being very flippant about wanting to redo the process. That's not cool. I mean, there's a lawsuit filed about the progress went in the wrong way. And when you all were doing the process, the city attorney told y'all, if y'all gonna change it up, you should have probably voted on and made a motion. And so I think at this point, it's about being fair. It's about transparency, and it's about accountability. And I think that's what the council is being called out on. So if we can back it up, the lawyers in the lawsuit filing already said that if you redo it, you're not admitting to any guilt. You're not admitting to any wrongdoing. You're just saying, hey, look, we're gonna just do this thing over and make it fair for everybody. I hope that's the consensus that you guys reach. At the end of the day, it's your decision, but it's the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
All right. Lionel Bowden.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Glenn Bowden, 1156 Northeast Baskin Norris Drive. I do want to talk to the issue that's going to be decided on tonight, but let me put my plug in again for the removal of the Confederate monument out there in Augusta Park. I saw a documentary, I think, on MSNBC this weekend called The Civil War. But what impacted me so much about it, that it was at least an hour and a half of the 2-hour program dealt with reconstruction, the erection of monuments and statues. And it just made me realize how important it is for those things to come down. When you really understand why they got up, who wrote the history during that time. Because everybody says about history, but everybody didn't write the same history. Because you don't tell the whole story. There's a story about this Gold Luster Festival and about that battle that's not being told. You never hear about those Union soldiers that was murdered after they was on the ground wounded. But that's because I want to keep that on the forefront. Having said that, I had no intention to speak on behalf of no candidate, but I want to just speak on behalf of Ricky Jr. in this light. He ran for office on 3 separate times. Now, how close he come to win and lose, I don't know. But he put his name out to be a city councilman. So that should say something for you all as a group. And if I was sitting up there, that would be something I would consider happening. it'll be one of the top considerations I would give. So advocating for him, I must say this. We are politically different. At the first meeting when he spoke, he talked about how much he loved Hunter Peter and DeSantis and Brown. I waited for him to call Trump name, you know. But so I want you to know that those who looking on YouTube, our politics are totally different. But this is a nonpartisan seat, and he has shown his interest in being a city councilman for District 14. I think you should consider that. Thank you.
Did Ms. Hopkins ever come in? Not, that is complete the public comments, and we will move into item 1, the discussion and action by council selecting city council member for District 14, revisiting October 13th, 2021 previously filed application. Mr. Caroline, any guidance you want to?
Sure, Mayor and council members, you're here tonight to conduct a full reevaluation of the applicants for the vacant District 14 seat. On October 18th, you decided to have a new meeting to conduct a reevaluation. Inferred in that decision was the determination that it's in the city's best interest as well as the citizens' best interest to have a new meeting. It's more efficient than being a successful defendant in a lawsuit. So tonight, you should conduct a meaningful evaluation and a meaningful discussion of the applicants. Unfortunately, neither the legislature or the courts have given us one formula to tell us what a meaningful evaluation and discussion is. I can tell you what it's not. It's not a rubber stamp of any prior meetings. So tonight, you should discuss among yourselves and through any process that you determine is relevant and come to a final decision. I'll remind you that the rules of your meetings allow you to have discussions before a motion is on the table. So you're free to discuss items and then ultimately have a motion, a second, and conduct a vote. So if you need any guidance along the way, obviously I'll be available.
I'd like to start the discussion. I agree with Mr. Douglas and young lady sitting beside B. Both Ricky and B have put their time in on coming to council meetings. No offense, Mr. Douglas. This is, I think I may have seen you at a council meeting maybe once. And then on top of that, at the last meeting when doing the rankings, you outscored everybody else, but in your interview, you said on TV that you didn't know if you wanted to run or not. And when you said that, it's like, if you're not serious about this job, why are you doing this? And then for you to come out of nowhere to be appointed, it's something wrong with that picture. And like I say, looking at this paper here that Mr. Jernigan passed out, like I say, the people have spoken. Mr. Green won, but he didn't finish the course. So the correct thing to do, in my opinion, is to appoint Mr. Jernigan. That's the correct thing to do. And I believe in anywhere else, if this issue would have came up, the runner-up would have been appointed. And I think if we would have appointed Mr. Jernigan at the time, we wouldn't be facing a lawsuit. So again, I support Mr. Jernigan because of this, what the people have spoken. Each one of us sitting on this council, myself, the mayor, Mr. Sampson, and Mr. Jefferson, didn't nobody appoint us. We had to get out and knock on doors to win over the majority of the voters. Mr. Jernigan done the same thing. He didn't get the majority of the voters, but he got quite a few. And no disrespect to Ms. Coker. She went out, knocked on doors, they spent their money to run for this seat. And for somebody to come out of nowhere, not to go around and to talk to people, just because certain ones in this district don't want to see this council to look a certain way, that's wrong. So again, I support Mr. Jernigan for, like I said, he had ran in this district, I don't know how many times he ran in District 13. He has shown interest in this seat and that seat. So I don't get it. Mr. Douglas have been to a council meeting, like I said, maybe once or twice. And then for him to be appointed to, I don't know that he don't know what's going on, but for him not to be coming to council meetings and to be appointed, that's not right. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. I want to say, I do want to mention that Ms. Chastain, I think, has withdrawn her name from consideration. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I want to say that everybody that applied was well-intentioned, well-qualified, good group. As far as ranking them, they were all very good. They all, I think, would try to represent the city the best they could, as we all try to. And I want to commend everybody for doing it, going through the process. And I think we considered it. I don't know that I'm in favor of re-interviewing everybody. I think we interviewed them and pretty much know them, and also I think we need to just discuss it and make a decision. Anybody else have any comments?
I have another comment. So I think one thing about showing up to meetings that's difficult to see is with this age of being able to see it online through the camera, through YouTube, through Zoom, we don't know who's attended what meetings. Like I didn't know that certain people attended and later heard, hey, I was watching this meeting. So it's hard to say who's attending. Last year, there was a period where everybody attended online, which was very difficult. But getting back to the point you made, Mayor, I think if we had, if we set up some ground rules for the process, maybe we should make a motion and see what the process will be. So I would say that the best process, I agree, we heard from everyone just over a week ago. I don't know that we need to hear again. We did a ranking. I don't know that we need to do that again. I would make a motion that the process will be that we would have a nomination and a vote. And after our discussion, I think we should have our discussion first and then do a nomination and a vote. So I'd like to make that as a motion that the process will be a nomination and then a vote.
Okay, is there a second to that?
State that motion again.
That there will be, that the process for selecting the person will be that someone will be nominated and then there will be a vote after they're seconded.
I'll second that.
Okay. Been a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mayor Witt.
Yes.
Now the nomination, I nominate Ricky Jernigan.
Nominate. Mr. Mayor, in addition to that, I've heard some good comments here on all the applicants, even the ones that had dropped out. And I think from the interviews that we had and from the letters of interest that they presented to us, they all was good candidates. They had professions in different areas. All, in my opinion, have provided much contributions to our city and our communities, some more than others. Does that make one more prevalent over another? In my opinion, no, it don't. But I saw dedication in all of them. Some have came to council meetings more so than others. I feel that all had a good interest and had the city at heart. And I believe that all is motivated to want to do a good job, for the city.
And so whoever that we select, I personally will work with that person. And I feel that that person will, you know, have the needs and the interests of the city at heart. May I like to make one more comment? Again, Mr. Sampson, I don't want you to take this in personal in no type of way, but a person can tell you that they saw it online or whatever. But when you sit up here and watch these people come in and out of different meetings, you know they're here. So when a person walk up to you on the street and say, well, Mr. Sampson, I saw you at the meeting the other night with your gator orange on, you know that person was here. But if a person tell you, well, Mr. Sampson, I saw you online the other day, you had on a pink shirt. No, my shirt wasn't pink, it was orange. So that's my take on that. So again, well, even before we went on, but not cut you, go ahead, Mr. Hill. Before we went online, there were some people that was here, even before that on a continuous basis that I have observed, particularly Mr. Jernigan and Ms. Coker. They had been here repeatedly before we even went online in the pandemic. So I can't say that, you know, because of it went online that people are watching it. Probably I would too. If I was home and I could see it, didn't have to be here. I probably watch it online as well. But even before that, there was an interest and people were attending prior to it was placed online. So that shows dedication as well. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. No, you're fine.
Any other comment?
I think that's a good point. I think showing up to a meeting is the basics. Sometimes you have to remember, though, the people represented in this room is a small number. When you look at the information Mr. Jernigan gave, I mean, in his last election, 1,400 people voted. We don't have 1,400 people here from that district. So a lot of times we might put a little bit more stock into that. But going by who's attended the most, I mean, that's definitely one option. It's not the way I see it. I look at it as we have a $60 million budget to run. And in my opinion, who will be the best person to help us make decisions long-term for the city? And so that's just the direction I see it.
Any other comments from me?
I'll make the motion to appoint Mr. Jernigan.
Got a motion to appoint Mr. Jernigan, second.
I'll say.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Secretary, call the vote.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
No.
Mayor Witten?
Okay, any other motion?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I enter a motion to appoint Ms. Coker.
Got a motion to appoint Ms. Coker, to second.
I second it.
All right. Any discussion on that? Secretary, call the vote.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
No.
Mayor Witten?
No. Any other motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to appoint Stephen Douglas.
Third second for that. I'll make the second to that.
Well, yeah, oh, I mean, how can you make us,
Caroline?
The vote rules allow the chairperson is able to vote. So give me just a moment. Your Honor, the rules allow the chairperson to make a motion and or second without being the tiebreaker.
Wow.
Ms. Sykes, you call the roll.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mayor Witt.
Yeah.
Mr. Jefferson.
Well, you read the motion again?
Yes, sir. It's a motion to appoint Stephen Douglas.
No.
No? Mr. Hill.
No.
Well, that's the only three that's left. Yes.
Thank you. I didn't do this to interrupt the flow, but of course, we can make a statement after a proposition is made. Mr. Coberline mentioned the rules allowing you to make a second. Could you please tell me what rules they are? We've had issues in the past with Mr. Coberline looking at his computer and then saying what he looks at is not available.
I've seen it.
So I would just like to know what the rules are. I'm sure other people would like to also know. I don't know what the rules are. Thank you, Ron.
Okay.
And if we don't know what the rules are, then we can make a motion and not know what the rules are that he's suggesting. Thank you very much.
All right. Everybody, number.
Yes, Your Honor, it's ordinance 2021-2178, as well as Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay. All right. Anyway, back to the council. I think we're gonna have to, get about it. If they want to try it again.
Again, I make a motion to appoint Mr. Jernigan. And I second it.
All right. Any discussion on that?
Your Honor, before we go into a motion where we're going to reconsider a previously nominated individual, strongly encourage the council to suspend the rules. Then you would suspend the rules by making a motion to suspend the rules or waive the rules. It would require a 2/3 vote, meaning 3 out of the 4 would have to agree to it. Otherwise, a motion to reconsider a previously moved candidate is going to call into question whether or not it's permissible. And it's simply more efficient to waive the rules or suspend them at this time.
I think it's a motion to waive the rules.
Well, we making them up as it go look like, so I make the motion to suspend the move.
All right. There's a second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Secretary, you call the roll.
Just give me just 1 second, Mayor. So it's a motion to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Okay. Mr. Hill, motion.
I make the motion to appoint Mr. Jernigan. And I second.
A motion and a second. Secretary, you call the roll.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
No.
Mayor Witt?
No. All right. Any other motions?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to appoint Stephen Douglas.
Second. I'll second it again. All right. Ms. Sykes, you call the roll.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
No.
And Mr. Hill?
No.
Okay.
And I'm Mayor, we're waiting on another motion.
Yes, sir.
My motion, back on the table, for Ms. Cole.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Oxley, call the roll.
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
No.
Mayor Whit.
Yes. All right. Being no further business, I guess she will be sworn in Monday at the meeting. And with that, we'll be adjourned.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
No, I'll see you tomorrow.
Hello, my good friend.